another video, and today I just want to talk about how I was molested as a kid, and it really bothered me all my life, like all my life, until I really had to sit down with God and I had to tell him like this was killing me inside. Story where, okay, it's really short too. And my mom was living in a city with my family, like all my family lived there. And then I guess she went into some problems, and then so she moved from that city, and we lived somewhere else. And I guess she decided to let her kids. My mom had 3 kids, and she let her kids go back to where my family was, just to spend time with our family. So mind you, we're like really young. We're kids. We're like 6 or 7 or 5. Who knows? We're just really, really young at this point. So my mom sent us away to spend time with our family because that's the person she was. She wanted to move away from her family, but she didn't want to move her kids out of that zone where we didn't know where our family or who our family was. I don't know why, but that was her. And hey, to each his own. So at that time, it was a lot of nasty things going on. This is like a huge problem in families. Like now, it's like this generational nasty curse that pray for. It does skip you because there is a God over all things. Over all things. He is Lord of the Lord. He is King of the King. There is no one above him. So if you prayed, it would skip you. So this generational curse, it's like, it goes like, okay, if your great-grandfather was an alcoholic, your grandmother's going to be an alcoholic. And if your grandmother's an alcoholic, your mom's going to be an alcoholic, because it's a curse. And so now you're an alcoholic. You're drinking all crazy and wild because it's been passed down and finally to you. Okay, so now it's like same thing with this molestation thing. It's no different. Okay, same thing with drugs. Your great aunt was doing it, so then your great aunt's daughter was doing it, so then your aunt's daughter was doing it, or your aunt's son was doing it, so now your cousin's child is doing it. So it's a generational. That's what they call generational. It goes down from family member to family member, from different generations. Okay, so it's like, it could be anything. Not molestation and that, but this video is about molestation. Okay, so me and brothers and sisters, we were young, visiting our family, and that was going on in those days. And it wasn't only going on with now me, because this happened to me when she was living there, like in the city. And she was close around all our family, like literally all our family lived there for some odd reason, but they lived there. That's where the family was. And it happened so long ago, to the point where I guess my mom, she forgot about it growing us up, and she didn't really wanted to tell me. She didn't want to tell me anything about it. She didn't want to tell anyone, basically. She didn't really want me to know. But it came about to me knowing, like when I visited my family member's house this one time. And it was really, it was a bittersweet day when I was that age, and I went to their house. It was like them basically telling me my whole life story. And this is just what goes on in certain families that we don't really know about. So, and it's just of the devil. The devil likes to implant trauma like right then and there when you're a child, because he thinks he has like this rope around your neck to suffocate you all through your life, so that you can never be what God wants you to be, or never see your purpose, or never see anything good about yourself, basically because of trauma. Trauma is something that is so horrific that happens in your past, or when you're a child, to the point where you don't want to remember it. It hurts so bad, you try to numb it or whatever. Now, I have not known anything about molestation, anything like that. I was a child. I didn't even know what words, like evil or bad words, were, like hoe or BICTH or any of those words. Like, so it was like really, it was a really unknown time for me, because this is something I went through. My brothers and sisters never went through nothing like this. So we was at this family member house, and while my brother and sister was outside playing or doing whatever, I don't really remember. The memories are vivid. So I only remember family member telling me that I was molested like them, and I was touched, and a whole bunch of things that I can't even remember, but it was just a whole bunch of nastiness that was going on, and it bothered me to a point where I didn't know exactly what they were talking about, because the enemy tried to bring back the old memory. That's what he tries to do all the time to people, bring us back down this memory lane. Like, if he could drive us right back down memory lane to trigger anything, something, oh, he's just gonna do that. He's gonna do it. So, right, I'm young and I'm getting told a story that I know nothing about. Now I'm like 6 or 7, like I said, or 6, 7, or 5 or whatever at this time, and I'm not knowing anything that they're telling me. And it's just, at this point, it goes from one family member to another family member. So I have 2 family members in my face telling me something, and I'm just lissing, because as me being a child, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to listen to an adult that's speaking to me in my face, even though I don't know what they're talking about. So they're telling me things, and good thing I knew words greatly, because I was able to go home and talk to my mom and ask her about what was told to me as a child. So she began to cry and stuff, and I didn't do it right away. It took for the enemy, like I said, he implanted that memory once again, because it actually happened and I didn't know anything about it. So God immediately erased it from my mind. And that's what God can do. He's God. So I'm going on 7 or 8 or something like that, and I get a little bit more curious, because it goes back up in my mind. It ravels up back in my mind, and I'm just wondering, like, I remember this day. So I go and I talk to my mom about it, and she starts crying, because it was when I was a baby, literally a baby. There is men out there that will do anything for sexual intercourse. Literally, they'll take a charge, a bullet, whatever. Some men will do anything for that, okay? Anything. So it's best to do what you have to do, as in call out to someone, call to God, because God literally can take you from that situation in an instant. Okay, he did it to me, and that was it. So after I went and told my mom about the situation, she actually broke down, and then she started to tell me, like, yes, this happened, and she wasn't around at the time. Of course, I was at a family member house, she was somewhere else, and it was by someone in the family. So it's just it was this sickness. It's the sickness that someone that might have had in my family, and they takes it out on someone else's body parts. They take something that's not theirs. It's just like stealing, and only the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy you. Meaning, steal your joy, steal your mind, steal your common sense, steal your communication with the Lord Jesus. He comes to destroy you by all means, so that you can't come and get what God has for you, for me, or for anything, for anyone. And he comes to kill you. That's it, kill you. He wants to kill you all those ways. But God said in his word that evil cannot come against what God has made without his reproach. So the enemy literally has to go to God first with permission to do anything to anyone. Kill, steal, or destroy. His job. His literal job. Because he's an enemy. His name is that for a reason. And to realization, and this is like, of course, before I had sex. And my mom, and I have never felt any way after that. So I haven't felt anything weird out of the ordinary to wonder. Like I said, it was like family members that dished out the information to me. which is what will happen. If your mother cannot come out, or anyone that's close to you can't come out with the truth to you, God will get it out to you one way or another, because truth, it sets you free. Okay, maybe my mom was being held bondage by it, and God only knew that, and she just couldn't move on with certain things because she knew that happened to her daughter. I'm her oldest, so that's what had happened to me. So she started to tell me things like, yeah, and I called the cops, and she went to the hospital with me. And surprisingly, this was by my sister or brother's father. Now, I know you're wondering, like, what? It's a sickness. It's a demonic spirit. It's not something some people, if you don't know who God is, it's not something that somebody can control, because a spirit that is so evil and powerful, and it's been from one uncle to another father, or through another uncle or something like that, and it made it to the person that's victimizing you. It's just a really bad mental illness, and it could be spiritual. It's more spiritual than mental, but it does have a lot to do with your mental. So, okay, and it was by their father. Their father at the time was like doing drugs, really heavy and hard. I never knew my father at all. So that's where the daddy issues came in at. I never had a dad. I never knew who he was. There was no one to defend me but my mom, but our mom. And our mom did the best she could. So it was just my mom, and she was telling me, and she told me who did it. She just told me everything. So that's how I knew that their father did it. And I think after that, she even let my brother and sister know in on it too, because it was an educating moment for all of us at that time, because it was something, I was victimized as a baby. I was a baby, and I became 7, and then I'm asking my mom this now, so we were all old enough to really kind of understand a little bit. So she began to tell me that he was doing these hardcore drugs, and she told us that he had guns and all types of things. Like, it was nothing he was doing good, but she was married to him. She was married to my sister and brother's father, and they were after me. So she had went into this marriage, and then she had 2 more kids after me, and that's where we became a family. And so that's how he had all this freedom to me. My mom was working, and she did overnight shift. She had 3 kids. He wasn't working at all, I don't believe, or he was working, she said, but I guess he wasn't doing enough or making enough. So of course, as her being an independent woman, she had to go out and do things herself and work herself. So she had to leave us either with a babysitter, which we had 2-story floors at that time where we lived at. So there was like this woman she knew really, really well on top of us, and we were on the 2nd floor. And then there was it was like we were the 1st floor, sorry. And then she knew this lady really, really well on the 2nd floor. And she had this cat, and even she told me the story, because I believe my mom told her the story, and like I'm now hearing this story 3 times, 4 times, and it was like a big mashup, because some family member felt offended that I was let in on a story that I should have never been told. Some family members felt like I should have been told, because it's the truth. The truth should never be held from anyone at all. If it's happening, or if it had happened, it has to get out, or literally you would be choked to death by this fact that you don't want to tell the truth. Spirit inside of us, God's Holy Spirit inside of us, won't let us hide that deep down pain unless we turn it into anger or something else. But he won't let us hold it in without releasing it to him or anyone else, because he does say in his word, when 2 or more gather, he is in the midst, which he's in the midst always, because he's always watching. He's a very huge God. He's my husband. We are his brides. Okay, we are married to God. We are married to him. Married. So he's everywhere. He's listening to all. He's just always listening, ears open. He doesn't rest at all. So now I'm hearing this story everywhere. My mom's telling me, well, she's telling us, me, my sister and brother, that okay, we went to the hospital and you were young, they went and did a rape kit. That's like a kit that they do to swab you, DNA test you, see what happened to you, see if you have any diseases. And I was a little baby. I could already imagine how the nurses feel. They're probably crying. They're probably like, oh my God. They're probably like wondering what was my mom on, or because this is her husband. But at the time, it was just a lot of family confusion going on. So she didn't, at first, she wasn't there. She didn't know who did it until until the test came up to who it was, and the test came up to her husband. Her husband was on drugs, and he wasn't my father, and he had his way with this beautiful little baby. And that's what evil things do. They have their way. They don't care how young, how old, how smart, or how dumb you are. They're just going to take advantage. If there's a loophole, there's a loophole. They're going to get through that loophole, okay? And so my mom wasn't there to protect me. She just noticed that when she came home that day, she told me I was crying. I couldn't stop crying. She noticed that I was bleeding down there. I was a baby. I had my little crib, so I probably was like a year or some months, she said. She doesn't even remember, because when we're going through traumatic stuff like that, our brain goes into shock automatically, and it just forgets either certain parts because it hurts so bad, or we hide it in the back of our brains because we don't really want to remember these things. So my mom, she goes to tell me, well, the DNA test came back that it wasn't really no one in my family, but my family had been molested by people in my family. So it could have been people in my family, she thought, because it already happened in my family with my family, some of them. And she knew that because anger speaks loud volumes. You know, when you're angry, you can act like it's not there, but it speaks loud volumes in the way you treat people, in the way you perceive things and accept love. And when someone says they love you, or when you really feel love but you feel it's too good to be true, it's some type of traumatic damage there that the enemy try to implant in your life, so you don't know anything about yourself but that traumatic pain, because he'll play it like a little violin, like, yep, this is what you went through, do you know this, do you know that, bringing it back to him. And we do have the actual thought to be like, no, I don't want to think about that, I want to think about something happy. Some of us, we don't have that type of authority. So at that time, I didn't really understand. Even so, when I was being explained, I just was like, wow, all this happens. And then it made me really did question, because I came home to my mom that day well and fine. I guess she had some proof and all these good things that she wasn't around. She didn't know anything about this until she came home to her little baby crying in the crib or whatever she said. And it wasn't right. It just wasn't right. You know, the person that was married to her, they acted like they didn't know what the heck was going on, and she knew that they weren't in their right state of mind, kind of, or whatever she said. She knew that they were on drugs, and I guess that was her being in her bondage, or her being in her thing, and she couldn't do anything about it. She might have felt, who knows. And so that happened, and that was a breaking point. When God wants to get something, a point across to you, or he doesn't see that you're trying to get it, he will allow the enemy to have a darkness, 1 hour of darkness in your life, so that you can finally call on to the person that is going to make everything better, everything good, everything perfect, because he is perfect. Okay, God doesn't know no evil, no sin. You know, he doesn't know anything bad. He knows all good, and that's just it. He wants us to have actually the best of the best. So my mom, she was with this man for so long, And God knew that he wasn't treating her right and things wasn't going right, but she wouldn't leave. But over this, she'd leave him, okay? So this was where the deliverance come in at. My family gets delivered from this evilness and this man that used to take so much hard control over my mom because God allowed this traumatic event. Now, mind you, I told you I was 7, and I do not remember anything from when I was a baby, like months, being a year old and being like a couple months old, or however how old I was. I don't remember. I haven't even felt any pain. I just first had my first encounter with somebody that I intentional. It didn't feel as natural, and that was because of a comparison to other people, like friends I had, and I was like I said, so it was like so different. My first encounter, that's how I knew that it was true today. Like, that's how I knew that I was really, really touched by a man at a very young age. And God had let me realize that truth so that I understand that who he is, for one, because I haven't realized that when I was a kid. Okay, that was a very, very traumatic incident that happened, and I have no memory of it actually happening, or me hurting, or any feeling any type of way, until I get told a story by family members. And I start to wonder when I get to a certain other age, 7 years old, because I'm like 6 or 5 or whatever, and I'm getting told a story like this. So even they had their traumatic incidents, and maybe they thought if they told me, that certain family member, that I could protect myself next time, or maybe I might tell someone, or maybe I might notice what's going on, other than because my mom didn't have really a man in her life for us, and that man that she was married to wasn't really there fully as a man. He was just her husband. He had that title, and that was just it. He paid some bills and made her happy when he felt like it, and overall he was my sister and brother's biological father. So she decided to marry him. After that, my mom, she just got closer to God. She even noticed who God was, that anything could have happened other than me just getting molested or raped as a baby. Because listen, this is happening to other babies and other babies and other babies. Okay, because there's too many babies in this world, too many parents, and then there's non-parents who don't parent their child, or isn't around because of a money-making job, or because they feel like the money is what's needed, and not actually being there for the child and the child's care. So there is childs and babies being taken advantage of because of this purpose. And God did say in his word that the love of money is the wages of death. If the money is all you want and need, things are just going to happen because of it. You won't know why, you really don't know how, but you will know that your bills are being paid. That's one assurity you will have. That's it. Wow. But other than that, childs and babies, that's something that is precious. I mean, there's many of them, and I mean, you shouldn't take that lightly. No one should take that lightly. That a child does not come before a job, or letting them being placed with someone that you know has issues, or does things that you wouldn't do, but you would want your child to be around because you consider something else important at that moment, other than what's important for a lifetime. So this was a lifetime, long-lasting issue that was just in the back of my mind until my family member came and told me, and it was just like an awe, like, wow. So I was delivered automatically through this whole incident by not even knowing what went on. And when I was told, I felt sorrowness, I felt sad growing up after I had a sexual intercourse, because I didn't even think it was true. That's how long, and that's how unreal it seemed. It seemed so unreal, like so unreal. I thought they were playing a prank on me, they were lying. I was just so young, I didn't really care. I just wanted to play. And it was just truth that I had to know. I had to get to this truth for some reason. And it was for me to tell you guys, or whoever is going through something like this or have been through something like this, that you're not alone. There is there's too many people in this world. And this is not wishing bad. It's just a sad reality. It's a sad reality that gets swept underneath the rug so that no one talks about it. Everyone wants to post their happy times and what's so good about this and that. But what about the things that got you to that point? To appreciate all the good things that you are reaping now, or the good things that you have. It has to be a bad before it gets good. It has to be a rainstorm in order for there to be flowers. Okay, this is life. It's life. Okay, we're living it. And believe it or not, it's just happening somewhere else. Okay, because it's an evil spirit that jumps from one man, like my sister and brother father. And because of his drug issue, he had died like in 2000. Died in 2005, and my mom got that call. She was like long gone before then. She was like with a whole different person, and he became our stepdad before then. And yeah, he just died due to his drug problem, his drug abuse. So that just shows that nothing good happens to those who take things or is used by the enemy, which is stealing something that is not yours, destroying anything that has to do with God. I mean, reputation, lying, all that stuff. And then killing. I mean, if you kill someone, you're just going to be held by it for the rest of your life. You're going to have dreams, all types of stuff. You know, it just gets deeper, I guess. I've never done anything like that, but it does say in the word, he who takes a man's life, he must be held in contempt forever until he leaves this earth. And it says that in the Bible. So, that's really all I had to say to you guys. And I thank you guys if you made it like this far. And God bless you guys. And I love you guys. Bye-bye.